I'm honored to be the first UN Secretary General to visit Papua New Guinea and to join you in celebrating 50 years of Papua New Guinean independence and democracy. Over the past 5 decades, you have taken on a profound task to weave your breathtaking diversity into one people and one country that leaves no one behind.
Respectful greetings from Manuscript Papua. In this video, we will review an important press conference held on Tuesday, the 2nd day of September in the year 2025, between the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, His Excellency James Marape, and the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency António Guterres. In this meeting, they discussed several strategic issues, including international refugees placed in Papua New Guinea. An important note from this press conference is the refugee situation in the region. Refugees from West Papua, Indonesia, are also in Papua New Guinea. They are Papuans crossing the border seeking protection in Papua New Guinea due to the political conditions in West Papua. On the 2nd of September, 2025, in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of independence and democracy in Papua New Guinea, the Prime Minister, His Excellency James Marape, officially received the visit of the Secretary General of the United Nations, António Guterres. In the joint press conference, the important issue of refugee and asylum seeker protection became one of the main focuses of discussion. Secretary General António Guterres expressed appreciation for the warm welcome from the government and people of Papua New Guinea, and emphasized the importance of solidarity and the resilience of this country in facing development and humanitarian challenges. Regarding the issue of refugees and asylum seekers, the Secretary General reaffirmed the United Nations' clear position based on international law. He stated that every country has the responsibility to respect international refugee law, including providing protection and assistance to those seeking asylum across borders. He also emphasized that Australia continues to hold responsibility for the welfare of asylum seekers detained overseas, including in Papua New Guinea, in accordance with the decisions of the United Nations Human Rights Committee. It should be noted that in this press conference, refugees from West Papua were not explicitly mentioned. However, the presence of the West Papuan refugee community in Papua New Guinea is an important humanitarian issue relevant in the context of refugee protection in the Pacific region. Papua New Guinea, as a neighboring country and host to a number of these refugees, plays a strategic role in providing protection and humanitarian support in accordance with human rights principles and international law. Prime Minister Marape expressed appreciation for the United Nations' support in advocating for justice and truth for all humanity, and reaffirmed Papua New Guinea as a committed partner in addressing humanitarian issues and protecting refugee rights. This press conference reaffirmed the commitment of Papua New Guinea and the United Nations to continue working together in facing humanitarian challenges, prioritizing dialogue and peaceful solutions, and ensuring that human rights and refugee protection become an integral part of sustainable development and regional peace. The press conference on the 2nd day of September in the year 2025 highlighted important global responsibilities toward refugees and how Papua New Guinea has become a meeting point for various humanitarian and political interests. See you in the next content. Warm greetings from the Manuscript Papua YouTube channel.
Manuscript Papua.
Marape and the government and people of Papua New Guinea for their very warm welcome. This is a visit of solidarity. Dear Prime Minister, I'm perfectly aware of the enormous challenges that you face as you pursue sustainable and inclusive development. But I have an enormous admiration for the resilience, the courage and the determination of your people. I'm honored to be the first UN Secretary General to visit Papua New Guinea and to join you in celebrating 50 years of Papua New Guinean independence and democracy. Over the past 5 decades, you have taken on a profound task to weave your breathtaking diversity into one people and one country that leaves no one behind. That process is by no means easy, but it is the spirit of unity and dialogue that the world needs today. This is a moment of great turbulence, from from conflicts to the climate emergency to economic instability and inequality. Papua New Guinea has felt the pain of these challenges, but you also provide a model for solutions. The Bougainville Peace Agreement has now been in place for 24 years. Its durability is a symbol of what can be achieved through perseverance and mutual respect. And the United Nations has walked with you on this journey, from weapons disposal to the 2019 referendum, and will continue to stand beside you as the next phase begins. I salute the people of Bougainville as they prepare to cast their votes in the 5th autonomous election since the agreement, and wish them a safe and rewarding polling day. And I also welcome the adoption of the National Prevention Strategy on Violence. Every person deserves to live without fear, regardless of their tribe or gender. This strategy is an important step towards that future. For more than a decade, the UN Peacebuilding Fund has supported complementary efforts, including conflict resolution, sustainable agriculture, and access to health care. I will have the opportunity to witness this work firsthand around the country, where the United Nations is honored to support your efforts. We work extensively with young people who make up a full 60% of Papua New Guinea's population and are one of the nation's greatest assets. We must ensure that they have opportunities they need to thrive. There is another group for whom our partnership is especially relevant: women. On this visit, I look forward to meeting with female community leaders. Violence against women and girls is a challenge that confronts all societies, including Papua New Guinea, and I commend the efforts by the Parliament to address it. The contributions of women to this great nation deserve our full recognition and respect. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, Papua New Guinea has long led the charge for climate justice. Your country does not contribute to climate change. On the contrary, you absorb CO2, but is in the first line of its dramatic impact. You have emphasized that climate change is a driver of poverty and have a strong moral voice for climate finance. Your role in the Pacific Islands Forum declarations on sea level rise helped to shape the global debate. As the UN Climate Conference approaches in Brazil, the world must move faster to keep the 1.5 degrees limit alive. And this means an immediate turning point leading to a drastic reduction of emissions that can no longer wait. The countries of the G20 have a particular responsibility, as they are responsible for 80% of climate pollution. Simultaneously, developed countries must follow through on their commitments on climate finance, with a special emphasis on doubling adaptation finance to allow countries and communities to build resilience. The Loss and Damage Fund must also mobilize a very meaningful volume of resources, including through innovative sources of finance. I applaud the decision of the Pacific countries to launch the Pacific Resilience Facility last year, and I appeal to the international community to fund it so that it reaches its full potential. The COP in Brazil must also produce a credible path to achieve the $1.3 trillion objective decided in Baku. Just as climate finance is essential, so is development finance. I applaud Papua New Guinea's drive to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, action that must be matched by the entire global community. I reiterate my strong appeal for the reform of the international financial architecture that must reflect the world of today, with a much larger participation of developing countries in its institutions and their decision-making processes. This is a basic condition for them to better serve countries like yours. And this includes real action on debt relief, tripling the lending capacity of multilateral development banks, and the mobilization of private capital at scale to the service of developing countries. Dear members of the media, once again, I congratulate Papua New Guinea on 50 years of independence and democracy, and thank you for your commitment to multilateralism. The United Nations stands in solidarity with you now and in the future. for your vision, your ambition, and the lessons you teach us all. Thank you, Tumas Olketa.
All right, thank you. And that's from the man himself, our Secretary General. He is a profound wisdom-filled man himself at the personal level, but also from the organization. And we want to commend you for continued advocacy on what is fair and just for all humanity. All right, media, I don't think we have left any room for questionings, but just one or two for me. Direct the questions to me if you don't mind. But, he's a good friend of the Pacific and our country, and please be easy on him, the local media, if you have one or two questions for him or myself.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. So the media have 3 questions for this afternoon.
Okay.
The first one will be from ABC, Marianne. Second one will be asked by NBC, TV1, and the third one from NBC, the National.
Okay, Marianne, go ahead.
Secretary General, immigration and the rights of asylum seekers is one of the core issues.
I'm terribly sorry, but I'm a bit deaf, and with the noise, I'm not understanding it very well. Can you speak slowly?
So immigration and the rights of asylum seekers is one of the core issues championed by the United Nations internationally. You're currently in a country that was used by Australia to contain asylum seekers and refugees between 2012 and 2016. And Australia currently has a secret deal with PNG to keep a handful of asylum seekers here, even though it won't disclose how much it's paying. My question is, do you think Australia is responsible for the welfare of these asylum seekers, even though they're not in Australia, that we're trying to get to Australia? In January, the Human Rights Committee published 2 decisions that stated Australia retains responsibility for the welfare of those sent into offshore detention in Nauru and Marcus Island. So, do you believe that Australia retains that responsibility for those asylum seekers?
Our position about refugees is clear. It comes from international law. I was High Commissioner for Refugees during 10 years. And my appeal to all countries is to respect international refugee law, which means all borders must be open for those seeking protection, and nobody should be sent back to where they might suffer persecution. And every country has the responsibility to grant protection and assistance to the refugees that cross their borders in such a protection.
We'll have a second question from TV1.
Secretary, my name is Michael Tampipai from TV1. My question is basically in terms of human rights, unity, and peace. So you've mentioned something, and you've praised PNG for peaceful ending the Bosnian peace agreement. And my question is, what role do you see the UN playing in continuing to support this process? And
Strategic support
process, the peace process.
What's the role of
You?
Speak slowly. Speak slowly.
So my question basically in terms of UN pillars, unity, peace, and basically human rights. My question is, you have praised PNG for peacefully handling the Bougainville peace agreement process over the years. What role do you see UN play after this, your visit, and to the process of peaceful peace agreement process and towards the planned independence?
UN doesn't intend to have any protagonist in this question. We are here to support the authorities, and I will be very glad tomorrow to meet leaders who can feel simultaneously.
Manuskrip Papua